Hello, fellow Toastmasters. So this evening we have a session on pathways for beginners. So this is going to be super basic. Going to help get you started. It'll talk about some of the language that we use in pathways, and it should help you at least get through your icebreaker and upload your evaluation. I am your host, Christine Lewis. I'm also your Program Quality Director this year, 2018, and I hope this information helps you start your pathways journey. First of all, we're going to talk about some pathways language. What is a path anyway? How do I choose my path? How do I get started? And uploading my evaluation. So you're going to hear pathways called a lot of different things. You'll hear it called pathways learning experience, pathways, revitalized education program. They're all the same thing. Basecamp, path, and levels, these are all elements of the program and the tools that you'll use to execute your path. Badges and certificates, those are the kinds of awards you'll get, and we'll dip into that a little bit more later. You're going to hear a lot about assessments and evaluation, and I wanted to point this out on this slide because what's an assessment versus an evaluation? You will be doing assessments for yourself. What is my skill level now? What do I want my skill level to be? You might take a pathways assessment that will help you decide which paths to take. Now, an evaluation, on the other hand, is how was my speech performance? Did I use my skills? Someone will be evaluating whether you did those things. So they're just kind of showing you the difference as you see more and more of these assessments going on. So Basecamp, yeah, this is a big one. So it's super simple to get into, and we'll show you that in just a minute, but it's basically your home base for Pathways Adventures. It's where you're going to review your curriculum, take your assessments, watch helpful tutorials, download checklists for your projects, maintain your transcript, and even upload your evaluations. And when you've finished that first level, it's also where you're going to request approval of completion of that level. And it's also where you'll buy new paths. 5 core competencies. Toastmasters hasn't lost sight of keeping the core competencies in the program, and those are public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. And confidence is a competency, but you earn that as you execute your projects. Now there's currently 10 specialized learning paths, and each one of these paths will have a different amount of the 5 core competencies in them. So you may find that dynamic leadership has more management and strategic leadership in it, whereas presentation mastery may focus much more on public speaking, but you generally will find a mix of all of those core competencies in every path. And on average, there are about 14 projects within each path. That's not speeches, but projects. And that's going to be a little bit of a change for a lot of people because it's not so focused on just speeches. So each path is built to be fully encompassing of your basic communication development, your leadership development, and advanced projects as well. So if you were familiar with the traditional program, you know that there was a competent communicator and a competent leader and then advanced projects. These are all combined to one path. So I hope that it makes it clear that, when you go through this, as you get into levels like 4 and 5, you are going to start feeling like you're in advanced elements of a education program. So levels, what's a level? Now, every path starts with level 1 and 2, basically the same. It's a foundational development for every path. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean you execute it the same way with every path you execute. The first time you do an icebreaker is going to be different than the second time or the third time you do an icebreaker. So you're still building on core foundational elements. And in level 1, your icebreaker is basically your icebreaker speech with an evaluation. The evaluation and feedback project comes out to be about 3 speeches. And it's the first time you do a speech, and then you get an evaluation, you take the feedback from the evaluation, you do your next speech, and then you'll actually perform an evaluation on someone else. This project is helping you understand how to give and get feedback. And then you move into researching and presenting, and this focuses much more on how to research your topic and then present that information. And on into level 2. Two required projects, they'll differ possibly between different paths, but they're basically the same kind of level. And then 3, 4, and 5, you'll see in level 3 that you actually start to have the options of selecting your electives. You'll also start seeing that roles are covered as an element of these projects. And further on down, and again, I'm going to point out this reflect on your path, because when you get to level 5, all of those evaluations, all of those projects, everything you've been doing, it'll be time for you to go back and reflect on the things you did during your path. So it's important to consider storing those some way, whether you do it in the online system or you have a folder for that. I recommend that you save those artifacts. Here's an example of the dynamic leadership path. And again, you'll see the 5 levels here. And in the first 2, mastering fundamentals and learning your style, and then increasing. And the reason why I brought this particular path up was just that I wanted to be able to show you the electives. And this is how you customize your paths to what you're focused on developing for yourself. You know, not everyone may want to be doing connect with storytelling, and not everyone may want to have to prepare for an interview. So this in selecting these electives, you can help customize for the areas you're trying to develop in. And you'll see as you get into level 4, doing things like creating a podcast or a social media presence, that's more complicated than simply giving a speech. I say complicated, but it is developing your skills to do those things. And this is where a lot of the changes are with Toastmasters. It's a contemporary style of communication, more digital, more elements of that. You're not required to go with those things. There's other electives you can choose that may be less digital if you're not into that, and but the options are there. Badges and awards. So basically, for every level that you complete, you'll get a badge. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the final. And you'll get a certificate of proficiency. You will get a certificate at the completion of each level that can be printed out by your VP of Education from the system. And then there's other badges. So these badges here are actually peer-to-peer badges, and these can be given within a club between members. So if a member happened to see you give a speech last night and they thought you did some great development, or there was something just they really liked about it, they can go online. And as long as you've got your settings open that you can get a badge, they can send you a badge and they can give you some nice feedback. And it's just a little bit more than just an evaluation. It's just, you know, peer-to-peer reflection. Now, accessing Basecamp. So here we go. Pretty simple. You're going to go to Toastmasters International. You're going to log in. If you're brand new and you haven't logged into Toastmasters International yet, you, for the first time, will log in with the email address that you put on your membership application, and you will request a new password, and it will put you through the phases of generating that first-time password. Once you've got that, you're basically going to click on Pathways and then click on Go to Basecamp. Now, you may be ready to take your assessment, you may not be, but you're going to jump, if you want to, you can jump in and take the assessment and see where you're at. I just wanted to kind of point this out. If you're really kind of stuck on what path you want to do, you can take this assessment. It may not be enough information for some people. Some people may need to go into the Pathways core catalog and really review those paths to really have an understanding of what's in them. So you're not required to select your path at the completion of this. This is suggestive. It will suggest 3 different paths. You don't have to take those. It's simply a suggestion. But I wanted to point out that you can use this as a tool for you to start figuring out which path you'd like. So once you're in Basecamp, at the bottom, in the center blue box, some people may be in 1 club or 2. And if you're in 2, you're going to see a drop-down box, and you will need to select the club you want to log into as a member. So if you are only in 1 club, you'll have 1 choice, and you're going to click on Log in as a member. If your screen looks different, don't be alarmed. I happen to be a guide as well as a Basecamp manager, so I have a couple of extra buttons. Once you're in, this will be basically the first screen you see. If you have never been in Pathways before, I do recommend that you go through what they call the check compatibility, so that you'll understand what your experience will be on the particular computer and the browser you're on when you're working with Pathways. I work with many different devices, and I know now that my experience won't be the same on every device. Sometimes I have to remind myself what things may work or be better on different ones. So I use this compatibility tool, and this is what this will look like. So I ran the compatibility on my machine, just pointing out where you click, and in a minute we'll see what my results were. But if you find you're having challenges, also go through navigating Basecamp the first time you're using Pathways. It'll help point out a couple of things that'll help you get around. So this is my experience on my device. You can see that some of the boxes are green, and I've got a couple of red boxes, which is suggesting that, my cookies might be causing me a problem in the way this thing presents itself, and maybe the pop-up blocker. So you can choose to make adjustments to your browser, your computer, to make these things better, and or not. It depends on what you're working on. If I'm doing general things, reading about my project, I may not have these issues. If I happen to be wanting to, let's see, look at a video or something like that, I might have some challenges. So just be aware about these things. Now, when it's time to kind of go in and look at your transcript, I want to point out that it doesn't look like a button, but this maroon bar that says My Education Transcript will actually take you right into your transcript. And it'll bring you up. Oops, I went back. Let me go back. Let's get back one more. So it'll bring you into your transcript. I have a couple of things running, so I'm not going to go into my full one. But once you go in, you can select your curriculum, which most likely will be your icebreaker. So starting your icebreaker, one thing I want to point out heavily is when you start any window as part of your curriculum in Pathways, you want to make sure you expand the window to as big as you can get it on your device. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see some of the navigating places that are on that window. So on this particular screen, Begin is your place to navigate. In some places, you'll have little arrows on the side, but you may not see those if you don't have your window fully extended. So when you get into the icebreaker, you also have an option to look at, all the parts of it. Now, when you look at this blue bar, this is the menu bar. It actually goes pretty much in the order that you're going to execute your project. So this is actually a good reference for the order of things. You can see on this particular page, you can see those arrows on the left and on the right. Now, when you go into your assignment, you're also going to have lots of options. So you can see that it has a project checklist that you can download to help you keep track of what you're doing in your project. And I do highly recommend this all during level 1. And a couple of us are learning that it's really valuable, especially when you get into that feedback and evaluation portion of the level, because there's really no place to kind of put in the dates you're doing each thing. That checklist is definitely going to help you keep track. Now, the other thing you're going to see a lot of is there'll be a lot of these assessments before and after you do a project. And the reason for this is Toastmasters and Pathways are trying to help you be a little bit more retrospective and observe how you're developing and really paying attention to, am I getting better? Do I need to work on something a little bit more? So you'll do and it's quick, you'll do a before assessment and then after assessment after you've completed the project. I do want to point out that when you do the after assessment at the end of a project, it will close that project out and complete it. So make sure you're ready to do that when you're taking your after assessment. Inside every project is some additional navigation points about how to get you through the project. So they're always offering lots and lots of help in all kinds of places. So there's no shortage of help and tutorials. Now, icebreaker worksheets. So they offer a lot of worksheets to help guide you, and I really do love these because I find it guides you a little bit more about how to get started. So if you've never done a speech before, this it tells you every little piece. You want to have a greeting, you want to capture the audience's interest, and then once you kind of have those ideas down, think about how you lay that speech out. A main point, how you're going to transition to your next point. So these things help walk you through that speech development. Feel free to download these and use them. And I feel like I'm probably going to use them outside of these projects because I do like the way they guide you. Then your evaluation resources. Now be aware that in the Pathways program, every evaluation resource is keyed to that project. There's not one evaluation that's common across all of them. They're unique. So you will need to print your evaluation resource and bring it to the meeting that you'll be giving a speech in, if that's the kind of evaluation you're getting back. And then that is your responsibility to do that. Maybe your evaluator would like to do it digitally, then you'll need to email the evaluator a fillable PDF. So just make sure you know that you'll need to print off your resources. And let's see. The other thing I wanted to point out is there's a new development in these evaluations. The evaluations are much more guided. So if you've got a brand new evaluator, these forms on average are about 3 pages. The first page kind of outlines the purpose statement of what the speaker is trying to achieve. There are some notes for the evaluators. The evaluator can make some open general comments. And then there's a ranking system and a guide on exactly how why you would rank somebody a 3 versus a 5. So this theoretically should give the speaker more feedback about the development they're doing. This is a new development. I actually decided to add this to this presentation. This is my 4th round of producing this presentation because of some technical difficulties, but let's hope this is the last one. Free Toast has got a development, if your club happens to use it, that you can access some Pathways project resources as you're signing up for a speech. So if you go in and sign up for a speech, I happen to be working on leadership development, and I select, evaluation and feedback, I get these 2 boxes, project description and evaluation form, that pop up. And when I click on those, I'll get the basic project description for my project. And then the other one, it will actually give me the evaluation form so I can download it and print it. So I just thought this was a really great development from Free Toast. Unfortunately cannot speak for Easy Speak. I'm not that familiar with it, but I'll be seeking some information from those folks about it as well. So you get to the end of your icebreaker, you're going to do your after evaluation, and congratulations. And then basically that's it. Now we're going to go into how do you upload that evaluation. And first of all, you're going to collect it. You're going to get, a handwritten one back from the evaluator, or maybe the person that filled it online will email it to you. So once you have it, there's a couple of different ways you can produce it as a file, because you need to get it in some kind of a digital form so you can upload it into the online system if that's what you choose to do. So you can scan it, you can upload that filled PDF, you can take a picture of it with your phone. There's any number of ways you can turn it into a file. And once you've done that, we're going to go back to Basecamp. That's that first page we were in. We're going to go into your transcript. And when you go in there, you're going to click on the tab that says ePortfolio, and then go down and click on Documents. And as you see, I've already got 3 there. And then you can decide where you're going to store those documents. And I've chosen to store mine level by level. So I've going into my level 1. And then simply, I'm going to click Add File. And you can see I've already got 2 documents there. And at this time, I'd like to point out that you can see that I've created an interesting naming convention for my documents. And the reason why I did that is I realized that if I name my document 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I will not know what they belong to and what they were for. So I've chosen to use the numbers from the project and a date so that I know when I actually did those things. So now we're going to add a file. You click Add File. And then we'll follow this in order. You'll see this box at the top come up and says Add File. You can drag and drop. That's generally not how I do it. I'll select a file and I go to my local location down here at the bottom box. And in this case, I'm selecting a picture because I just decided I was going to drop a picture in there. And I click on it and I click Open. And then up here in the upper right-hand side, you can see that that picture is listed. Now, if I wanted to do more than one file, I certainly could do that. I would just select again, and then I'm going to click Add. And once I click Add, all my documents are in level 1. It's just that simple. Now, if you are focused on heading further down the path for pathways, and we don't want to give you too much information. We want to know how you develop, and you can still make distinguished Toastmaster achievement in pathways. So you would complete 2 paths. You'd be a club officer, a district officer, club mentor or coach, club sponsor, speechcraft, or youth leadership program. And I believe that now there's a capstone project within the final DTM project. Essentially, it's the same, layers of work to do to get to DTM. The time frames seem a little bit different to me because they're saying that on average, it'll take somebody 18 months to get through a path. I think that's going to vary greatly depending on the experience of the speaker or the person that's been in Toastmasters. So that's definitely your own preference on how fast or slow you'd like to go. So here's your challenge. It's time to explore the possibilities. So get out there and review the path catalog. Take the assessment. You're not comfortable selecting yet? Put it down, go back and look at the catalog and start to have a look again. But get started. And for the next 6 months until January, there's going to be some Pathways virtual sessions available through District 31 so that if you get stuck or something's going on, jump on one of those virtual sessions and we can get you moving again. So please utilize those resources. So this is going to go up to January 2019, and we hope to see you on those. So I wish you the best of luck, and talk to us, let us know where you need help. So thank you, everybody. And thanks for attending. It's a little bit more information, and we've put lots of information up on District 31, and stay tuned for more webinars. Thanks, everybody.